Usually on the weekends, I love to stay up and play on my Mac, a little bit of FPS before I drift off to bed. Every weekend repeats, and doesn't phase out my interests. Around 1 AM is usually when I get tired and lose the willpower to continue my conquest for being the best player on the server. I'll get a glass of water, brush my teeth, and fall asleep almost instantly. Recently though, certain events delayed my late night schedule. An occurrence, through my living room window, and out through the porch. I see a grid-shaped array of infinitesimal lights glistening, almost dancing in the neighbour's window. This isn't the first time I noticed this. My room is directly above the living room, and the porch has a roof on it that goes out to my window, identical to the one in the living room. So sometimes I'll go out on the porch at night and stargaze, for what feels like days. I snagged the view of the lights in my peripherals, and thought nothing much of it. At first I debunked it as headlights from the main road about 100 feet away. I didn't put much investigation into it, until that Saturday night. I threw on a pair of shoes and briskly walked up to the street to see if this array of lights could be monitored from an alternate location. The timing from the cars was off by a long shot, immediately opening up new possibilities. My neighbour could have just left on old Christmas lights set up on a timer, or they could be phantom lights in a stranger's backyards. I didn't think it was anything paranormal, something to take seriously, or never thought of it as a threat. Maybe just my imagination was getting the better of me. Later that month, coyotes were reported in the nearby woods less than 50 feet away from that woman's house. I stopped by to warn her about the presence and thought, while I'm at it, I should probably ask about the lights. We had a chat for a bit, and I managed to weave my way into her reading room, right by the window. I peeped out to see any lights. Nothing. I left through the backyard to see if there's any floodlights out back, but again, nothing. A few weeks later, the coyotes had migrated somewhere else, and the sight of the lights had become increasingly common. I did begin to get more edgy since the lights were right out by my window. 3 days later, a fisher cat made its way into the neighbourhood, and had badly mauled several cats. After the fisher cat left, things seemed to get properly out of whack. The next night, around 12:55 AM, my good friend from up the street heard a cat fight happening, and his cat's missing, so I set out on foot to find it, but I couldn't find anything. So I comforted him, and eventually just went back to bed. Within the time span of several days, more animals had gone missing. I went to check with the owner of the house with the demonic lights, and she said she's been hearing high-frequency outputs at night, almost deafening her left ear. I went out to her backyard to see if I could find anything, or any leads to anything whatsoever. I went down into her bulkhead, and an awful smell dissolved the hairs in my nose as I took an accidental breath. More interested and paranoid than ever, I made my way downstairs. As soon as I opened the door to her basement, I heard the scurrying of feet and the rambling sound of someone trying to cover something up, like a kid with his vegetables. I slowly opened the door, and froze in the uttermost horror the human eye could witness. Several half-dissected felling corpses with their legs and torsos ripped in half, connected by what seems to be the intestines. Dogs cut open by the ribcage, and the list goes on and on. Blood seemed to be the choice of paint. The smell of rotting carcasses and fecal matter was unbearable. I fled faster than the speed of the light and called the police. The older woman was detained, claiming that all of this wasn't her, and I vouched for her. She was eventually placed in a nursing facility, and I never did see those lights again.